Have you seen this? It's chaos out there, and that's for sure. Just look at how interest rates have spiked in the past few months by 0.5% on 2 occasions to presently standing at a jaw-dropping 4.25%. We haven't witnessed anything like this since Britain's comeback in 2008. And you have the good old Bank of England to thank for that. Apart from everything that obviously the government's done, it's always all their fault, isn't it? Aside from a looming crisis, we have an ongoing cost of living crisis in the UK, which is impacting pretty much every single household and everybody's personal budget. Come closer. Has anything even felt real since 2012 though? What if it's just a glitch in the matrix? Let me sum up across the borders inflation story. So, the Bank of England should have said, "We ride at dawn, boys," and took aggressive fiscal action which did not go unnoticed on the other side of the Atlantic, and they went along with it for the ride. Meanwhile, the US Federal Reserve have decided that curbing their enthusiasm wasn't the solution, and it was time to curb the rising inflation by increasing, you know what, interest rates to 4.9%. If you own a home presently or plan on owning your own home in the near future, these increased interest rates are going to grab you by the collar and ask you where you are headed. Not too far, I suppose. What may have appeared to be affordable once upon a time, which may seem like a long time ago right now, seems to be out of reach right now for many first-time buyers, thanks to the not so appealing fixed-rate mortgage packages we get today compared to not so long ago. Market to crash or not to crash? That is the question. Shakespeare did have a point. If you're like me, you can feel the fear of a crash looming over our heads like a dark cloud. We are keeping our umbrellas close by just in case it starts pouring. A quick economics lesson for you. Limited supply plus high demand equals rise in property prices. This equation started bidding wars that were not quite an Avengers level threat, but nevertheless meant homes were being sold for far more than their initial price or what their price should have been. And that's what happens when there's more demand. The shortage of supply is still ongoing, so I guess we can expect to see a sequel to the bidding war soon. Ghost of market crashes past. I'm no Uncle Scrooge, I'd like to think. But let's take lessons from the past market crashes in the UK. 2 major market corrections have happened not too far in the distant past. One in the 1980s, and some of you may be too young to remember that, and the other in 2008. Say hello to the haunting spirit of 2008 that was tormented by words such as bank collapse, government bailout, credit crisis. Spooky, isn't it? Here's a timeline of the major turning points of that year. The market starts to decline rapidly. July marked the lowest point for the Dow Jones Industrial Average trade, which was just a few points above 11,000 for the first time in 2 years. Jump to September, when Lehman Brothers went bankrupt. Yes, that's a bank going bankrupt. And the US government declined to bail it out. That was big news if you were around in those days. Financial turmoil escalated further, and President George Bush held an international conference of financial leaders in November because they were going to fix everything and we were never going to have a crash again. Well, mark those words and just see what happens in the near future. All this and more led to the UK experience one of its greatest and most severe recessions since World War II, during the 5 quarters that it lasted. And it was painful because I remember it very clearly. By the end of 2008, manufacturing production had dropped by 7%. That's significant, by the way. Banks and investment firms were heavily affected, as were plenty of individuals, including me. Unemployment rates were at an all-time high, leaving the youth jobless and demotivated. Between February 2008 and 2009, house prices fell by 15.6% in the UK. It's time to call the Ghostbusters, because the next departed soul coming to state facts still gives people nightmares today. The energy crisis hit in 1979 caused inflation to reach double digits. And in case you're wondering, I was around in 1979 too. In the UK, the winter of discontent arrived with the baggage of unemployment and nationwide strikes, leaving the then Prime Minister, the late Margaret Thatcher, with her hands full and tied simultaneously. What unfolded was inflation and unemployment rates not witnessed in the past 50 years. Okay, that's enough of horror stories for today. There's no time like the present, but is the present worth investing in? That's the question. Further interest rate increases may be in store, who knows, particularly if inflation doesn't drop as predicted, and it's going to have to drop significantly, I think. As rates climb, mortgages become more and more expensive, as we are all aware, especially those who have refinanced or who are looking to buy properties, who have bought properties not too long ago. However, it's critical to remember that buying real estate should be viewed as a long-term commitment and investment, and cash flow is king during this very testing and trying time. If your cash flow is positive and it's good and it's going to keep you going, then time is on your side and you can weather this storm until prices recover. That is, unless you have other immediate plans like moving out within the next few years, in which case you should consider renting instead, in my view, because you want to buy when the market's low and sell when the market's high. Everybody wants to do that, but we obviously don't know when that's going to happen, so you just got to look at the patterns and the correlations and the signs. If you find the house of your dreams and decide after careful analysis that the repayments are doable, achievable, the potential of a crash is unlikely to stop you. What does the future hold? Just so you know, I am not a clairvoyant, just to make it clear. So there is not going to be any sneak peek of your future here for you, so you can relax. Sorry to disappoint anybody who is expecting some sort of card reading. The only thing we're reading here today is numbers. Before you commit to buying a place, make sure you fully understand the basic maths behind it. That's really important, and I can't stress that enough to you. It's okay if you feel you don't know enough to come to a wise decision, but you can reach out to experts and ask them for help. People like me and others out there who have good financial skills, and they'll be able to give you a bit more of a clear idea in terms of what to do and what not to do, and then it's your job obviously to take advice. That's enough of the future for now. Simply go and watch more of my videos and learn and educate and research. And perhaps in one of them I do reveal my clairvoyant powers. I'm just kidding. Or am I? You never know. See you next time with more intriguing facts and perhaps even more pop culture references. Knox.